Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH The Flame Emperor episode number 91 based on novel. So let's start. Sure enough, it's not comparable to the consummation of the 4-star Do D. Seeing this, the flaming beast fell asleep, and then also quit the cultivation state. His pupils suddenly opened, and he said, the surprise in his voice could not be concealed. If it was said that Xiao Yang's 4-star Do Emperor's consummate strength had taken a lot of effort to deal with the initial stage of the 5-star Do Emperor, then at this time, Xiao Yang was able to say that Xiao Yang had no effort at all for the powerhouses of the early stage 5-star Do Emperor. The current Xiao Yang not only has an immortal body in his hands, which is enough to be called a 10th rank Do Emperor, but is also a powerhouse in the early stage of the 5-star Do Emperor. Xiao Yang has confidence that his own strength in the early stage of the 5-star Do Emperor, coupled with the sevenfold sky-shattering ruler and immortal body, is not afraid of Shenshan in the early stage of the 6-star Do Emperor of the Xianling royal family who is traveling with her. If this Shenshan really wants to deal with him, he can also kill him. Because Xiao Yang has this ability, I just don't know the strength of the old man beside Shenshan. A person who can make Xiao Yi somewhat incomprehensible, I am afraid that his strength is also extraordinary, Xiao Yang said to himself. However, Xiao Yi is already in the early stage of the 8-star Do Emperor. If the fish die and the net is broken, Xiao Yi's body is added to my immortal body. As long as the old man around Shenshan is not the 9-star Do Emperor, it is estimated that he will win. It's not difficult. Xiao Yang calmly analyzed. But having said that, Xiao Yi's identity as a fire elf is really special. Not only can he cultivate alone, but he can also be possessed by me and greatly increase my strength. This is really a good thing. Xiao Yang was excited. Road. The possession of the fire elf has always been a trump card for Xiao Yi after she has been transformed into a human form alone. After being possessed, Xiao Yang's strength will be greatly increased. Now Xiao Yang's strength in the early stage of the 5-star Do Emperor, Xiao Yi's strength in the initial stage of the 8-star Do Emperor, if the two are possessed, I am afraid that Xiao Yang's strength will be close to the 8-star Do Emperor consummation. It's just that it only lasts 10 minutes, which is the biggest flaw. Boom boom boom. As Xiao Yang broke through the initial stage of the 5-star Do Emperor, a huge message emerged from his soul realm. Did it succeed? Xiao Yang was excited. Because of this breath, he was the Emperor-level mortal-level soul power clone who cultivated the 7th-level sky-shattering ruler in his soul realm before. The first level of the 7-layer breaking ruler is enough to deal with the 3-star Do D. The second wave stacks 1,000 feet, and the ruler is like a fish. It is handy. At a very fast speed, it instantly transforms, and superimposes the power of 1,000 feet. The power is enough to deal with the 4-star Do D. The third layer of shadows, the ultimate speed, leaving phantoms left, so that the opponent can be punished by instant starvation, the power is enough to deal with the 5-star fighting emperor. A stream of information kept pouring into Xiao Yang's mind, and at the same time, the ancient ruler of eternal fire also appeared in Xiao Yang's hands. Old man. Xiao Yang said softly while stroking the ancient ruler of Yi Huaheng with both hands. Yi Huaheng, the ancient ruler, is quite spiritual, and responded to Xiao Yang humbly. Hihi, you are so bold and careful. A funny voice came from above the ancient ruler of eternal fire. Hihi. Xiao Yang scratched his head and smiled. The body takes the Do D pill to advance to the 5-star Do D, and the Emperor's mortal-level soul power cultivates Do skills and finally feeds back to himself. From ancient times to the present, I am afraid that you are the only one who can use it like this. Long Yi praised. Senior, it's just opportunistic. Xiao Yang was not arrogant, he said humbly. Don't worry, even if the Golden Dragon King is not there, there are not many people who can move you in this little Shen San. At least it's impossible to touch you under the half-immortal. After Long Yi finished speaking, a burst of self-confidence emerged. Junior thanked Elder Long, Xiao Yang said gratefully. Although this Long Yi is quite proud, Xiao Yang knows that this Long Yi is not bad, but he was born into the dragon family. It is from the pride in his bones, and they cannot be allowed to fail, so this Long Yi is so eager to hope for a new life. Get a body. Furthermore, it is the choice of the Golden Dragon King. This Xiao Yang is not only a pharmacist, but also the choice of the Golden Dragon King. In the future, whether Long Yi joins the Dragon Clan or acquires a body, it will be possible, so this Long Yi will be against Xiao Yang. Take care a little. Outside the door, there are mountains and rivers, adding Xiao Yi, Mu Yingying, and the 4 Bloodblade mercenary groups are all here. It's been a month, why hasn't this Yang Xiao come out yet? Isn't something happened? The coyote said first. Even if you take the Dodi pill, there is a possibility of failure to advance to the 5-star Dodi, so don't be impatient, just wait and see. Dasan said. It shouldn't fail. Tang Tang glanced at Dasan and said slightly dissatisfied. If something happens to the alchemist, then they don't have to go to the desert this time, because only the alchemist can solve it. But if he doesn't come out, the black storm will inevitably come again, and we will have to wait again. The coyote continued. Give me quiet. If we are going to the place where we are going this time, if there is no alchemist accompanying, then we might as well not go, otherwise, it is tantamount to going to death. Wait a minute. Tang Tang said. Damn, this alchemist is really big. The coyote cursed secretly. Since this is the case, let's go. I believe that you have missed a lot of time to advance these days. Long Yi said. Yes. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he got up slightly and walked towards the door of the wooden house. With a gentle push with both hands, the invisible soul power barrier was immediately taken back by Xiao Yang. Hehe, everyone sorry for the long wait. Xiao Yang pushed open the door and found that many people had already gathered outside the door, and immediately said, Breakthrough? Seeing this, Xiao Yi on the side hurried forward and said to Yang Xiao. Yang Xiao put on his black robe and said softly, So you broke through? The next moment, Wu Yu was surprised. He has been staring at Xiao Yang's residence this month. Even if Xiao Yang is isolated by his soul power, Wu Yu can still sense the state inside, because he knows the importance of their trip as a pharmacist, so once this practice if the pharmacist failed to break through, he would rush in without hesitation, otherwise once the refining pharmacist had an accident, their trip would come to an end. Just a month later, Wu Yu didn't notice anything unusual in Yan Xiao's room, and Yang Xiao immediately said that he had broken through the 5-star Do Emperor, and he couldn't help being a little surprised. The movement of breaking through the 5-star Do Emperor is not a little bit. This Yang Xiao actually broke through so quietly. This is really incredible. Since it's all right, let's go. Tang Tang didn't believe it at first, but after carefully sensing Yang Xiao's body, it was indeed the fluctuation of the 5-star Do Di in the early days, and he didn't say much. Let's go, the black storm has stopped. Now is a good time to enter the desert of death. After the coyote finished speaking, he also stepped out abruptly, facing the sky. When everyone saw this, they nodded relative to each other, and then flew straight away, preparing to leave the forest and head towards the desert of death. In a golden desert, terrifying hurricanes continued to spread, causing some small storms to continue in the desert. In the desert, a group of 9 people walked slowly. Among the 9 people, their noses and mouths were all covered by veils or something. After all, in this desert, if sand was eaten by mistake, it would be very likely to be poisoned, so everyone had to guard against it. Among the 9 people, Tang Tang was the leader at the beginning, the coyote and the lone wolf were on the left and right sides, and Wu Yu was responsible for the break, and the rest were slowly wrapped in the middle by the 4 of them. Wait a minute. Tang Tang said. Captain, what's the matter? The coyote turned his head and took off his mask slightly. When we came in just now, it was just the edge of the desert of death, and most of them were not dangerous, but now it's different, now it's in the desert of death. I am afraid that in a few days, we will be close to our destination, so you should be careful. Tang Tang took out a sheepskin map from the ring in his hand, and then said slowly, Yes. Hearing this, everyone nodded. It has been 10 days since the 9 people entered the desert of death. During the 10 days, they were constantly advancing. They only rested at night. The non-stop rush for these 10 days made everyone a little tired. There is a water intake point not far from us. Let's go to replenish some water first and act. Tang Tangyu pointed to a green place on the sheepskin map and said slowly, All right, after all, we don't have much water on our bodies, said the black-robed man Yang Xiao. After fetching the water, there is still trouble for little brother Yang Xiao to refine some elixir to restore vindictiveness and resist snake toxin. Seeing this, Tang Tang said, Yes. Yang Xiao agreed softly, and then walked towards the green water source on the sheepskin map. Let's go, follow. Wu Yu, Yang Xiao's safety will be handed over to you, no matter when. You can't let him make the slightest mistake, do you understand? Tang Tang turned to Wu Yu, the scarred man beside him. I know. After Wu Yu finished speaking, he followed directly. There seems to be something obscure in this desert of death. It's like the fluctuation of flames. Mu Yingying's beautiful eyes slowly stared into the depths of the desert of death. What's wrong? Let's go. Xiao Yi pushed Mu Yingying, then hurriedly followed behind Yang Xiao. This Xiao Yi seems to be a fire elf, and his strength is unfathomable. But his flame power is really terrifying. I'm afraid I won't be his opponent if I don't use my real power, at least above the flame. After Mu Yingying finished speaking, she followed directly. Seeing this, Dashan raised his brows instantly, followed behind the team, and said to the old Dasui beside him, "Teacher, should we separate from them?" "Don't worry, this team has such a luxurious lineup. I really don't know what you want to do in this desert of death. We'll just follow them at a distance," the old man Dasui said slowly. "Okay." Dashan heard the words, nodded and then followed the last of the team without saying a word. A group of 9 people walked towards the green. The desert of death. This is a country full of death. Not only does it have extremely terrifying high temperatures, but it also has some inexplicable power that makes those who enter the desert of death die without life. It is said that if everyone who enters the desert of death has a chance to see the richest treasure in the desert of death, the guardian of the treasure will instantly kill it. Although this rumor has no basis at all, there are also countless people who poured into the desert of death one after another. If you can get out of the desert of death alive, then the inexhaustible glory and wealth will be within easy reach. In the depths of the lonely desert of death, it is the place where the snake people live. There are 9 major tribes of the snake people. In addition to the 9 tribes, there is also a temple. The temple is dedicated to the strong and secrets of the entire snake people for countless years. All of the gods are the most outstanding snake people or the powerhouses with Medusa blood, but as for the specific location, I am afraid that even the powerhouses of the snake people are not very clear, only the 9 major tribes. The leader of the core knew. In the depths of the lonely desert of death, a huge team is slowly lurking in a quiet place. There are 11 people in this team. All 11 people, without exception, are all dressed in black cloaks, and black cloaks to cover up the other figures and appearances, but these 11 people, even if they are under the isolation of the black cloak, there is a faint wave of terror. The 11 of them are the 10 powerhouses of the entire dragon-loving legion today. With the addition of the Shenling King, there are 11 people in total. Such a terrifying lineup, even if it is placed anywhere in Shentian, you can walk sideways. "King Shenling, what is the purpose of our trip?" one of the figures said to the man in the first place. The man in the first place heard the words, turned around, and said to the figure who just said, "Our destination this time is the temple of the snake people. According to the information I got, the snake people don't know why there is a descendant with the blood of Medusa, and although that descendant is mediocre, he is only a 1-star fighting emperor, but the secret of the temple, I am afraid we all know not sure. But one thing is certain, this strong man with Medusa blood has been in the temple for many days. Once she truly grasps the secrets of the Medusa family, it is not to mention us, I am afraid it is the guardian. Even the guardians of our Shenling royal family can't handle it. After all, I think everyone should know the secrets of the Medusa family." King Xuanling's expression did not fluctuate at all. "The owner of Medusa's bloodline? 1-star Dodi?" As King Shenling fell, the figure who had spoken out was startled. He can be very clear about Medusa's bloodline. Among the Medusa clan on the mysterious spirit continent, there are 3 extremely terrifying pupils. Blue snake's 3 flower eyes. Furnace 3 flower eyes. The petrified eye of Medusa. Among them, the most terrifying is the petrified pupil of Medusa. The most terrifying thing about this petrified eye of Medusa is that it is hard to guard against. Because even the King Shenling as powerful as today can't do anything about this petrified pupil of Medusa. Once this descendant of Medusa blood accepts the inheritance in the temple, it is very likely that he will master the petrified pupil of Medusa. I remember thousands of years ago, the founder of their Shenling royal family, a 1-star Dozian perfection level powerhouse, because of the problem of territory, after the original struggle with the Funxiang pavilion failed, he went to the desert of death, trying to put this piece of land. The land is classified as the land of their Shenling royal family, but where did they think that in the end, because they angered the king of the Medusa family, they were directly killed by this Medusa. Medusa, at the cost of her life, displayed the petrified pupil of Medusa, directly petrifying the founder of the Shenling royal family. Even if thousands of years have passed, and how much effort their members of the Shenling royal family have spent for dozens of generations, they still cannot remove the power of this petrified eye of Medusa. This is the terror of Medusa's petrified pupil. However, this petrified pupil of Medusa can only be cultivated if it has the blood of Medusa, so in these years, the snake people have not seen such a strong person. The Shenling royal family can continue to argue with the snake people, and even suppress the snake human race. However, they are all clear, once a king with Medusa bloodline emerges from the snake people, with the grievances between their Shenling royal family and the snake people, It is very likely that their Xianling royal family is in a precarious situation. Give me quiet. This operation is a secret operation. We must not scare the snakes, otherwise the snake people will be angered. I am afraid they will fight against our Xianling royal family at all costs. This is obviously not what we want to see. So this mission is just to go to the temple of the snake people to find out. If possible, join our forces to capture the descendants with the blood of Medusa, and also cut off the back road of the snake people. The old man beside Xianling King slowly opened his mouth and said. The old man's name is Qin Tian, and he is the leader of the current dragon-loving army who is known as the Fudo Ming King. At the same time, he is also a 9-rank 9-star fighting emperor. It's only one step away from that half-immortal. En. The person who originally spoke was named Mu Chen, who was the 5th strongest in the Dragon Addiction Legion, and his strength had reached the level of the 8-star Do Emperor consummation. If that's the case, then let's go. Let's keep our movements as small as possible. Otherwise, the 9 major tribes of the snake people will notice. I'm afraid it's our lineup, which is also quite a headache. King Xianling said slowly. Where is the location of the temple? Next to Qin Tian, Yimo whispered slowly. The snake people have a total of 9 tribes, and even among the 9 tribes, there are only a handful of people who know the temple of the Medusa family. Let's just go to a tribe and grab a snake man leader and ask. Yimo, who was beside him, said after thinking. Agreed. A group of people around said one after another. Let's go then. After Yimo finished speaking, he, Xianling Huang and Qin Tian walked towards a certain direction. These 11 people can be regarded as the peak power of the Xianling royal family today. Its head, Qin Tian, who is known as the Fudo Ming King, is a 9-turn 9-star fighting emperor. The deputy head, Yimo, the 4-turn 9-star Do Di. Third, turn around the 9-star Do Emperor Xian Ming. Fourth, look down, the late 8-star Do Di. Fifth, Fanyu, the 8-star Do Di is consummated. Sixth, Xuanmo 8-star Do Di was consummated. He was the man in black who once surrounded and suppressed Xiao Yang in the Xianling Emperor Pond. 7th, Mu Chen, the late 8-star Do Di. 8th, Mu Chenfeng, the middle stage wind system of the 8-star Do Di. 9th, Yaroshin, a pharmacist in the early days of the 8-star Do Di. 10th, Xian Wanxin, the initial stage of the 8-star Do Di. With such a terrifying lineup, I am afraid there will be some extremely terrifying fluctuations in this desert of death. Looking back at Yang Xiao and the other 9. The 9 people discovered from the sheepskin map that there was a water intake point in the desert, and they went directly to the water source without hesitation. Yang Xiao was wearing a black robe and was at the front of the team, but at this moment Yang Xiao stopped his steps, and then turned his eyes slightly to the oasis in front of him. What appeared in front of everyone was an oasis with a radius of almost 10 kilometers. The oasis contained green plants, which was incompatible with this desert that was dead and barren. But what attracted Yang Xiao the most was not these, but that crystal clear water. Be careful, there seems to be something in this oasis. Yang Xiao opened his mouth slightly, then slowed down. Hearing the words just now, Wu Yu, the 7-star Do Emperor who was behind Yang Xiao, suddenly shrank his eyes, and then he became vigilant. This Yang Xiao is a genuine 5-star fighting emperor in the early stage, and he is also an emperor-level pharmacist. Although he doesn't know the specific rank, he has the soul power of the peak of the Emperor's ordinary level. I want to come to this Yang Xiao's medicine refining technology. Quite not low. Be careful. Tang Tang heard the words, and immediately wrinkled her eyes, and then stared vigilantly around. Is there something? When Xiao Yi heard Yan Xiao's words, she immediately became vigilant. On the side, Mu Yingying, Coyote Lone Wolf and Dashan Dashui all became vigilant. Let's go, there shouldn't be anything here. It's just that there seems to be something lurking in that oasis. We're like this. 8 strands of soul light emerged from Yang Xiao's body, and they all walked away to the crowd. Soul voice transmission? Tang Tang was slightly surprised when he saw this. However, although surprised, Tang Tang quite agrees with Yang Xiao's plan that has just passed the sound transmission. Let's go. Except for Yang Xiao, the other 8 people's vigilance disappeared instantly after receiving Yang Xiao's soul transmission, replaced by a rather relaxed state. The 9 people walked towards the oasis talking and laughing. At this time, in the oasis, in the clear and transparent lake water, a snake-like figure appeared slightly. Damn it. I felt a few rather powerful auras just now. Could it be these people in front of me? Impossible, the most powerful people in front of them are only the 5-star Do Emperor who are successful. Those auras just now are clearly from the 7-star Do Emperor or even stronger powerhouses. Could it be that I sensed it wrong? Who Shui among them? A naked beauty snake quietly lurked out of the water, and then the red lips moved slightly, thinking. The beautiful snake's body is extremely hot, and the water snake waist is the dream of many men, but the breath of this beautiful snake is quite terrifying at this time. The strength of the 6-star Do-D in the early stage. Among the snake people, anyone whose strength has reached the level of the 5-star Do Emperor has a strong position among the snake people. As for the beautiful snake who has the strength of the 6-star Do Emperor in the early stage, its status is in the position of the snake people 9. I am afraid that it is not low among the big tribes. Forget it, I'd better leave quickly, or my mother should scold me when she finds out. I just don't know why these human beings are in front of us. I heard my mother say before, how bad human beings are, but I don't seem to be that bad when I look at these 9 people. The beautiful snake twisted very attractively the figure, and then drawn a beautiful loneliness in the air. The next moment, the clothes that fell on the lake were slowly put on by the beautiful snake. Although the clothes were put on, it did not affect the plump figures of the beautiful snake at all. Forget it, I'd better go back quickly. Seeing the 9 people approaching the oasis, the beautiful snake immediately swayed its tail slightly. I don't know why, but among the 9 people, the black-robed man in the first place has an aura that makes the beautiful snake quite jealous. After the beautiful snake finished speaking, her figure flashed for a moment, and then it trembled quickly on the land of the oasis. The next moment, she suddenly strung out of the oasis and drowned in the desert. It's just that in that beautiful snake's sleeve, a small 3-colored snake slowly fell asleep. The beautiful snake's scales are quite different. If Yang Xiao saw it, he would have found out that the snake scales on this beautiful snake were 3 colors. Who is there? The 9 people entered the oasis. According to what Yang Xiao planned before, the breath of the 9 people burst out suddenly, the speed was increased to the extreme, and then the 10-mile oasis was searched in an instant. One turned upside down, but did not find any strange breath. Strange, I just sensed someone here. Yang Xiao said. As soon as the voice fell, an extremely huge soul force emerged instantly. What is that? Following the search of Yang Xiao's soul power, there seemed to be a 3-colored snake scale in the clear lake water. That is 3-colored swallowing python. Tang Tang on the side was still puzzled just now, whether this Yang Xiao felt wrong, but since seeing the 3-color scales, Tang Tang blurted out, 3-colored swallowing python? With Tang Tang's exclamation, all the people in the entourage couldn't help but click their tongues slightly. Some ancient alien beasts are famous, but there are still many people who don't know it. Obviously, the few people in front of them are the people who don't know. I didn't expect to meet the 3-colored swallowing python here. Tang Tongyu covered her mouth with her hand to hide her indescribable surprise. It's no wonder that Tang Tang is so surprised, because this swallowing python is the most terrifying existence in the entire snake human race, and it is no exaggeration to say that it is the royal family among the 9 major tribes of the entire snake human race. Unlike ordinary human races, among the snake people, what they advocate is not power, but the power of blood. Only with the extremely terrifying blood power, the strength and status of the snake people will rise, and the strong people in the snake people will regard them as treasures. Because among the snake people, the bloodline that has evolved to the highest level is the legendary 10-colored sky swallowing python. It's just that this 10-colored swallowing python, since the creation of the Great Thousand World, not only in the Dudi continent, but even in the records, there is no snake person who cultivated at all. Although I don't know why, but throughout his life, many strong snake people with the bloodline flames of the Medusa family and the bloodline of the swallowing python, all stopped at the colorful swallowing python, unable to advance even a little bit. Such a bizarre phenomenon has made countless snake people quite discouraged, so the 3-flower eyes of the furnace Ding Ding came into being. The role of the 3-flowered eyes of the furnace, although the snake people are not very clear about its specific effect, the only thing that every snake human person knows is that as long as the snake humans are born with the 3-colored eyes of the furnace, then in a certain sense in terms of the above, it is tantamount to the time when their snake people were splendid and prosperous. This is also the reason why Luding Sanhuatong is more affectionate with snake people than by snake Sanhuatong. 3-colored swallowing python. I didn't expect to encounter such an ancient alien beast here that has been hard to come across for thousands of years. The old man Dashui said in a low voice. Master, do you know this thing? Dashan, a rather burly man, seemed to find that his master was quite familiar with the 3-colored snake scales in front of him, so he said in a low voice. That's right. It is said that this swallowing python can be divided into 10 colors from 1 color, 10 colors swallowing the sky, the sun, moon and stars can be swallowed with its mouth, and the eyes can shake the whirl. Da Shui said slowly. You can swallow the sun, moon, and stars with your mouth open, and your eyes can shake the world. Da Shanku said slowly, but his voice was extremely shocked. It's actually a three-colored swallowing python. As soon as Xiao Yi saw the three-colored snake scales, the corner of her mouth slightly raised, and she said thoughtfully. Her sister-in-law, Xiao Yang's wife, Kaylin, Queen Medusa, seems to be a strong snake human race with the bloodline of the 9-colored sky swallowing python. Swallowing python, what is that? Mu Yingyingbei on the side moved her lips slightly, although she didn't know what they were talking about, but from the mouths of the four of them, Tang Tang and Xiao Yi could not help but hear something. Clues. Swallowing the python. Heaven-swallowing pythons are some ancient alien beasts. If they evolve into 10-colored sky-swallowing pythons, then their strength is comparable to the 4 mythical beasts of Xuanwu Qinglong, vermilion bird, and white tiger. If this 3-colored swallowing python cultivates to the level of the legendary 10-colored swallowing python, then its strength is probably enough to set foot on the fighting god. They are on an equal footing with those 4 great beasts. Xiao Yi said slowly. The azure dragon and white tiger Xuanwu Suzaku, these are the 4 great mythical beasts recognized by the Great Thousand World. They don't know how much energy they have given to maintain the Great Thousand World. Naturally, many humans worship and respect them. Is it really that powerful? After hearing what Xiao Yi said, Mu Yingying raised the corner of her mouth slightly and said dully. I didn't expect to see the swallowing python that has been extinct for many years here, and it is also a 3-color swallowing python. Although I can tell from the snake scales that this swallowing python is not strong, if it grows up in the future, I am afraid that the first unlucky royal family will be Xianling. The Xianling royal family and the Medusa clan and the 9 or 9 tribes have been fighting for thousands of years, and the grudges are deep. Tang Tang said slightly. The 9 major tribes of the Medusa family are not so easy to mess with. The coyote said. As their Bloodblade mercenary group, they are very aware of the horror of the 9 major tribes of the Medusa clan in the Desert of Death, so even the Xianling royal family has 3 major legions sitting in town, wanting to destroy the Medusa clan. I am afraid it is not so easy. Let's fetch water first. It is inevitable that the 3-colored sky-swallowing python will be back here, so it will be troublesome. After all, the ancient alien beast like the 3-colored sky-swallowing python must be accompanied by strong people. We are still some distance from the destination of this trip, so try to save your grudge on the road. Tang Tang said. After Tang Tang finished speaking, the 8 people around responded instantly, and then they took out the water container from the Naji and drew water from the clear lake. Because of the 3-colored sky-swallowing python just now, this water may be highly poisonous. Yang Xiao finished speaking, and the huge power of flames poured out directly, and then went towards the lake. With the injection of Xiao Yang's flame, an extremely transparent green water droplet was continuously drawn out from the lake water, and finally turned into a small pool of green liquid. Just as the green liquid appeared, a bottle appeared in Yang Xiao's hand, and he whispered in his mouth, the venom of this 3-colored swallowing python is a good thing. After speaking, he rudely put away the liquid. Seeing this, the surrounding people also coughed a few times in embarrassment, and then continued to absorb the water. Although it is okay for Do-Di strong people to not eat, in this desert, it is necessary to replenish water. Otherwise, if you keep using Do-Chi to resist the heat in this desert, I am afraid that most of the Do-Chi will have been squandered before reaching the destination. This is obviously not what Tang Tang wants to see. Little brother Yang Xiao, we have finished the water next. I have to trouble you to make some simple antidote pills and elixir to restore vindictiveness. Wu Yu, a man with a scar on the side, smiled at Xiao Yang. Well, bring the medicinal materials. Yang Xiao was not hypocritical, and said directly. After all, the 3 Yang Xiao and their Bloodblade mercenary group are still cooperative, so they didn't pretend to be a pharmacist. Hey, sometimes I really envy you pharmacists. When we ask you to make medicines, you have to bring your own medicinal materials, and if you fail to make medicines, let's not talk about it. If you fail, you will have to pay for the medicinal materials yourself. If it is successful, then the Dan Thunder tribulation is also a very headache. If it is successful, we will owe you a huge favor. Wu Yu said with some envy. Yang Xiao glanced at Wu Yu when he heard the words, then took the heavy medicinal herbs in Wu Yu's hand, and immediately sat cross-legged. Time passed day by day, 10 days passed in a blink of an eye. In the past 10 days, no one has appeared on this oasis, but in the sky of the oasis, the huge thunderclouds are constantly condensing. Just when Tang Tang and the others were about to make a move, Xiao Yang summoned the golden demon puppet and put those Dan Lei absorbed everything. The golden demon puppet absorbed these pill thunder tribulations, and the golden energy of his body constantly flooded his body, and an extremely terrifying physical aura emerged. Master, you have transformed a good thing for me. The appearance of this golden demon puppet is no less than that of a 5-star Do Emperor who has achieved perfection just by virtue of his physical strength. This puppet is really terrifying. Seeing Yang Xiao slowly withdraw from the refining state, everyone smacked their tongues secretly. This Dan Thunder tribulation, which used to be the most troublesome for alchemists in the past, how did it come into the hands of this named Yang Xiao? But it was like a great supplement. In addition to the terrifying aura emanating from the golden puppet, the rest of the 8 felt a sense of fear. It's really been a long time since I've made medicinal pills, so I can't help but feel a little unfamiliar. Yang Xiao put away the golden demon puppet, then stood up and stretched lazily. Hey, little brother, Yang Xiao has such a method of refining medicine, but some pharmacists of the first rank of Emperor rank Earth Pill are not too stubborn. The coyote said with a slight smile. Obviously, Yang Xiao's medicine refining technique made the coyote respect this kid. A pharmacist with a first-grade Emperor rank Earth Pill can at best invite a 2-star or 3-star fighting emperor. As for a 6-star fighting emperor like them, they need a pharmacist with a 2nd or higher emperor rank. It's just that the coyote didn't underestimate this Yang Xiao at all. First, he had a huge soul power at the peak of the emperor's mortal level, and now he was skilled in refining medicine. With the addition of the puppet that was comparable to the perfection of the 5-star fighting emperor, the coyote made the coyote. This 6-star fighting emperor has to pay attention. The boy named Yang Xiao in front of him is not simple. Take these medicinal pills to restore vindictive energy. Jeju pills. Tang Tang took dozens of medicinal pills in Yang Xiao's hand and distributed them. The first-grade pill of the emperor rank can be auctioned for a sky-high price in the outside world. The head of the Bloodblade mercenary group is so willing. It seems that this mission should be of great wealth, otherwise the Bloodblade mercenary group should be of great wealth. The people of the core did not take it for granted, and gave everyone such an expensive medicinal pill for no reason. Let's go to the depths of the lonely desert of death. When you go inside, you will meet the 9 major tribes of the Medusa family. I hope we have good luck. Tang Tang said slightly. What exactly is this mission going to do? Yang Xiao couldn't help but said slightly in his heart. Go. Several people looked at each other one after another, and then walked directly in the desert. The direction of the advance was exactly one of the 9 major tribes of the Medusa clan, but at this time, there was already a group of people where Yang Xiao and the others were going to pass. This lonely desert of death is really weird. The short distance has actually wasted 10 days of our time. Xuanmo complained quite a bit. Okay, there is one of the 9 major tribes of the Medusa clan in front of us. Let's grab their tribal leader and find out the whereabouts of the temple. Let's go. King Shenling said vigilantly. Yes. The crowd responded. But I don't know which tribe in the Medusa family. Qin Tian narrowed his eyes and stared at a large tribe in front of him. Chen Feng, let's go, you are cultivating wind-type fighting spirit, and the task of infiltrating is left to you. Qin Tian said after thinking. After Qin Tian finished speaking, a strong figure walked out behind him. Yes. This person is the 8th-ranked Mu Chenfeng in the Dragon Addiction Legion, a powerhouse in the middle stage of the 8-star Do Di. The wind attribute Do Qi of cultivation has long been consummate. In front of the 11 people is a huge city with an area of dozens of miles. And it is more appropriate to say that it is a rather large city rather than a tribe. The city rises from the ground in the desert. The city walls are the same as the khaki sand in the desert. They are astonishingly khaki. Although I don't know how these snake people built the city in the desert, I have to say that this such a method made many people in the Dragon Addiction Legion secretly surprised. After all, if you want to build a city in this desert of death, it can be extremely difficult. Not to mention the construction of this house, just to resist the desert storm in this lonely desert of death is a huge problem. At this time, 30 meters above the ground, a city wall suddenly appeared. On the city wall, some snake people were walking constantly. They were able-bodied and wearing silver armor. Body is wrapped. The whole city is square, and there are 4 gates in the south, east, north and west, but at this time, on the city wall, there is a strong vigilance in the eyes and eyes of those snakes. Once anyone approaches, they will not hesitate. Get started. Did you find anything unusual? A snake man who seemed to be in the early stage of the 6-star Do Di slowly appeared on the city wall, and then said to the snake man who was patrolling back and forth. Reporting to the little princess, I haven't found anything unusual for the time being. The patrolling snake guard said. There is a lot of respect in the voice. The snake people with the strength of the 6-star fighting emperor in front of them have a very high status in their tribe. Just because she is the chief's daughter. Stay vigilant. I don't know why. The captain of the Medusa Guard and some elders suddenly held a meeting a few days ago. Now the leaders of the 9 major tribes of the Medusa family have all secretly went to the meeting place. In order to prevent humans from breaking through sneak attacks, we must not relax our vigilance. The snake man in the early stage of the 6-star Dodi opened his mouth slowly. Yes. The patrolling snake guard responded, and then started patrolling. What's going on these days? My eyelids have been twitching, and I have been frightened all the time. I don't know if there is something important to discover. The snake man in the early stage of the 5-star Dodi said to himself, and then walked down the city wall. The city wall is 30 meters high, and through the city wall, there is still a long distance from the place where the snake people live. The square city wall should be just for the background of the storm. In the early stage of 6-star Dodi, the snake man walked down the city wall and was about to leave. The surrounding space actually wriggled slightly. Can't make any sound. Woo! The snake people in the early stage of the 6-star Do Emperor suddenly realized something and struggled fiercely. But how could the snake people in the early stage of the 6-star Do Emperor be in the middle stage of the 8-star Do Emperor? Mu Chunfeng's opponent, after a while, the snake man in the early stage of the 6-star Dodi was unconscious. Mu Chenfeng raised his brows instantly, and suddenly found that the snake man in his hand seemed to be unique. That jade-like skin that can be broken by bullets, coupled with those attractive red lips, if it wasn't for this Mu Chunfeng's very good concentration, I'm afraid he would be instantly excited by evil fire. After all, the snake people are naturally charming and extremely charming. It's tempting, but fortunately, people who can add dragon-loving legion, how can they be ordinary people? So Mu Chenfeng instantly bound the snake man in his hand, and then hid his figure, trying to go out of the city. Who? A cold snort appeared, and the next moment, the space where Mu Chenfeng was hiding was forcibly shattered by this terrifying voice, revealing Mu Chenfeng's true face. The strong snake people in the early days of the 8-star Dodi. Now it's troublesome. Mu Chenfeng sullenly looked at the figure in front of him. In front of Mu Chenfeng was a middle-aged woman. Even if the woman was older, she still had the same style. The pair of beautiful legs that were quite round were constantly crossed, revealing a very charming strength. The small nose bridge and the small snake pupils are more charming, but on the jade hand, many coquettish little snakes hang on it. The woman's face is gloomy, and the face on that face is extremely unhappy, because at this time, Mu Chenfeng, the woman in his arms, is the daughter of the strong snake man in the early days of the 8-star Dodi. This video will end here.